Today we are going to find out how we can set up a DSLR camera for shooting. To do that, we need to adjust some setting on our camera. Four of the most important options are focal length, depth of field, shutter speed, and ISO speed. We will talk about them one by one. Focal length is the first option. Camera lenses come in different sizes. They are measured in millimeter. Wide-angle lenses have a lower millimeter number and give you higher field of vision. They exaggerate the apparent distance between the objects, so they look more far in the picture compared to reality. Telephoto lenses have a higher millimeter number and give you a lower field of vision. They flatten the sense of perspective. What that means is that they make the distance between the objects looks more closer in the picture than reality. They also flatten the objects. Depth of field is like a block of sharpness which is in focus in your photo. Everything in this block is sharp, and outside of this block would be a bit soft and blurred. You can move this block front to back in your picture without having to refocus, or you can change the size of it. We use focal length and aperture to adjust the depth of field. Aperture uses an iris which is like a curtain. More you open this curtain, more light gets through it. Now, how we can change the size of it, we will show it to you on a Canon 700D. There is a button on your camera with an AV on it. Hold it back and there is a scrolling button on top of your camera. Scroll it to left or right, and then you will see the F number changing. The smaller you set the F number, the narrower is your depth of field. Now let's take a look at an identical picture, but in different F number or depth of field. On the first picture, aperture is 2.8, and as you see, the plant is quite sharp, but the ground and the trees on the horizon are a bit soft. On the second one, aperture is 5.6. The plant and a bit of the ground is sharp, but the trees are still out of focus and blurred. On the fourth picture, aperture is 22, so we have a wide depth of field. So the plant is quite clear and the trees in the far distance are quite sharp. But with a long lens, you never can get the foreground and the background sharp because we learned that long lenses have a small field of vision. But you can shift this block of focus backwards or forwards along the subject. To do this, all you need is to rotate your focus ring manually to find the point where you want to focus. The next setting we need to adjust is shutter speed. In the camera, shutter speed is between the lens and the CCD. It is like a door which opens to allow the image of your subject to burn onto the CCD. You can adjust how long this door is open. The longer it is open, the more light gets through it. There is a scrolling button on our camera. If we scroll it to left or right, we will see the shutter speed changing. It ranges from 1/4000th of a second to 30 seconds in our camera. Let's look at two shutter speeds at real time. That would be a shutter speed at 1/30th of a second, and that one would be at 2 seconds. Faster shutter speed will allow you to capture faster moving objects. Let's take a look at these pictures. It is quite dependent on your purpose. The problem is when you use a slow shutter speed, you will suffer from camera shake, so your picture will be blurred. To avoid camera shake, you'll need to use a tripod or wedge your camera against something solid. The other setting in a DSLR camera is ISO speed. ISO speed refers to how sensitive the CCD or film is to light. Setting ISO speed is quite easy. There is a button on top of the camera marked ISO. If you push it, you can change the ISO. The higher you put your ISO number, the more sensitive the pixels on your sensor become. So in a bright sunny day, 100 ISO would be great, and if it is dark, 1600 or 3200 would be fine. If you are taking a photo inside a building, you can brighten up your picture by increasing the ISO without using the flash. But the problem is, In a too high ISO speed, your picture will be grainy and noisy. Now, suppose we want to have a blurry moving object with a sharp background in an image. So we set a wide depth of field for a sharp background and a slow shutter speed for a blurry moving object. We always should keep this sign in the middle to avoid overexposure or underexposure. We need to use the tripod because we have a slow shutter speed. And that's it. A blurry moving object with a sharp background. Now, suppose we want to have a sharp moving object with a blurry background. So we set a narrow depth of field and a fast shutter speed. It would be better if we use a telephoto lens to have a lower field of vision. And we take the picture. As you see, we have a blurry background and a sharp moving object. This online camera is a good way to learn about shutter speed and depth of field. You can find it at this address.
Resolution is the amount of details an image contains.
If you zoom into an image, you will see small squares called pixels. Pixels are the smallest component of an image on your computer screen. So more pixels means more details, and more details means more resolution. High resolution and low resolution images often look the same on your screen, but they are not the same. Assuming the area of these two squares are the same, one of them has fewer pixels within that space and the other has more. Anywhere there is dead space between the pixels, the software has to guess what belongs there, and most of the time it has a poor job at doing that. That's why when you zoom in, the difference becomes apparent. Of course, the high resolution image, because it has more pixels, has more digital information and takes more room in your hard drive. But always shoot at the highest level of resolution your camera affords, because you always can convert a high res to low res, but not go the other way. Each light has its own temperature and they affect the colors that we see. Fortunately, our brains are too smart and adjust what we see to filter out these tints, but the problem is a camera is not as clever as our brains. So we have to tell our camera what tint of light it is filming in. Think of Newton's theory of light. According to this theory, all colors can be produced from pure white light. So if we tell our camera what white looks like in the light that we are filming in, it can work out what the other colors should look like. It is known as white balancing. To white balancing a camera, all we need to do is finding a white color in the place that we are filming in. Then zoom in till the white color fills the screen. Now press the white balance button and job done.
Now you can set your camera and take beautiful pictures. Good luck.